Feast or famine paychecks. How freelancers and creators can finally feel stable. You know that feeling when you land a big client, the payment finally hits your account, and for about 12 minutes you feel rich? You clear a couple bills, grab takeout, maybe order something you've been eyeing for months, and then 3 weeks later you're staring at your bank app, wondering how rent, groceries, and that credit card bill are all supposed to come out of whatever tiny number is left on the screen. That flip from, "I'm finally okay," to, "What was I thinking?" is the emotional tax that comes with a regular income. If you're a freelancer, a creator, a gig worker, you already know this roller coaster. 1 month you feel like you're climbing. The next month the track just drops. The work is inconsistent. The money is inconsistent. But the bills are very, very consistent. Today we're going to talk about how to manage money when your income jumps around, so you don't feel like your entire life resets to panic every time a slow month shows up. Hey, I'm Dylan from Dylan Investments. Money Talks, I translate it for you. By the end of this video, my goal is simple. I want you to have a mental playbook to turn your freelance or creator income from a roller coaster into more of a staircase. It will still have ups and downs, but you'll know exactly how to smooth it out so you can pay rent, keep the lights on, and stop feeling guilty every time you spend $1. Let's start with the core problem. The system around you is built for people with steady paychecks. Landlords expect the same amount on the first of every month. Your phone bill doesn't ask how your client pipeline looks. Your car loan doesn't care that a brand deal got delayed 30 days. The world is built on fixed due dates, but your income shows up like surprise weather. Sunny, stormy, sunny, stormy. That mismatch is what makes you feel like you're always scrambling. Here's where this gets interesting. People with a 9-to-5 job have 3 built-in stabilizers they hardly think about. Their employer smooths their income into predictable paychecks. Their employer withholds taxes before they even see the money. Their employer often covers stuff like part of their health insurance automatically. As a freelancer or creator, no one is doing those things for you. The money comes in lumpy, no taxes have been taken out, and everything is on you. It's not that you're bad with money. It's that you're playing a harder game with fewer safety rails. So the first mental shift is this. You don't have a job. You run a tiny business, even if it's just you, a laptop, and a ring light. Once you accept that, the question changes from, "Why can't I make this work?" to, "How does a small, smart business handle uneven cash flow?" Because real businesses deal with this all the time. They don't spend every dollar the day a client pays. They use accounts, buffers, and systems to make cash flow boring. Let's start at your kitchen table with one number, the cost of your life per month. Not the dream version, not the if everything goes perfect version. I'm talking about the bare minimum to keep your life steady. That's your rent or mortgage, basic utilities, average groceries, gas or transit, phone and internet, minimums on debt, basic health costs, and anything else that would cause real damage if it went unpaid. If you've never added those up before, that one exercise alone can be a wake-up call. You might realize, okay, just to keep my life from catching fire, I need around $2,800 a month, or whatever your number is. Once you know that baseline, you can separate your world into 2 layers. Layer 1 is survival and stability. That layer has to be funded every month, no matter what your income does. Layer 2 is upgrades, fun, growth, and all the stuff that's nice but not mandatory. Most freelancers flip those layers. Big month comes in, and they upgrade life first, then try to handle stability. That works for about 5 minutes. Here's where things quietly go wrong. When you have a huge income month, your brain treats that number as your new normal. If you invoice 4 or 5,000 more than usual, it feels like proof that you're finally getting traction. You relax. You say yes to more spending. And then when the pipeline slows back down to your actual average, it feels like you've failed, even though nothing actually broke. The game is rigged in your head because you're judging yourself off your highs instead of your average. So let's flip that script. Instead of living off your highest month, we're going to build your life on your boring, realistic average and then create a system that pays you like a salary from your own business. That sounds fancy, but practically, it can be very simple. Imagine you set up a separate checking account that functions as your business income account. Every dollar from clients, brand deals, platforms, or gigs flows into that account first. You do not pay your rent directly from random client deposits. You do not buy groceries from a brand deal that just hit yesterday. That account is the holding area. It's the place where cash gets collected and sorted. Your current personal checking account becomes your paycheck account, the one you use for rent, groceries, and daily life. Now, how much do you pay yourself? This is where your baseline cost of living and your income history come together. Let's say you look at the last 6 to 12 months and see that on average, after bad months and good months, you brought in around $3,500 a month. Let's say your baseline cost of life is $2,500. Instead of paying yourself $3,500 when it's a good month and $1,500 when it's a bad one, you decide, I'm going to pay myself a steady $2,800 every month for now. That steady number should be low enough that even in most bad months, your business account doesn't fully drain, but high enough that your basic life is covered and you're not starving. You can start slightly conservative. Maybe you start at $2,600, then inch it up later once you see how the cash flows over a few months. Twice a month, like on the 1st and the 15th, you move that set amount from your business account into your personal checking. That's your salary. It's the same whether you landed 3 clients or 0 clients that month. To make this less abstract, imagine my friend Jason. He's a freelance video editor. His income for 6 months looked like a heart monitor. $2,000 one month, $7,000 the next, $1,500 for $1,500 0, then $5,000. When he looked back, the average was around $3,300. But emotional Jason only remembered the 7,000 and 5,000 months. So he lived like a 4 or 5,000 a month guy. He upgraded his apartment, grabbed a new camera on a credit card, ate out more. When the 0 month hit, he was on the phone begging his landlord for mercy. When Jason finally sat down and looked at his numbers, he realized, if I had just paid myself $2,800 every month and left the extra in a buffer, I would have been fine even during the 0 month. So he did exactly that. He opened a new checking account, rerouted all client payments there, and set up a rule with himself. Twice a month, 2,800 moves to his personal account. Everything else stays to build a cushion. It took a few months of discipline, but eventually he had a couple months of expenses sitting in his business account, and that sick feeling when opening his bank app started to fade. If you only remember one idea from this video, make it this one. You are allowed to create your own paycheck. You do not have to live in sync with the chaos of your invoices. Now, here's the twist. We haven't talked about taxes yet, and taxes are the silent killer of freelancers and creators. When you work a regular job, your employer quietly withholds money for federal and state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, all that. You only see the net pay. As a freelancer or creator, if someone pays you $3,000, you see the full $3,000, and your brain says, sweet, I have $3,000. But the IRS is absolutely planning to take a chunk of that later. So you need a second habit. Every time money hits that business account, you skim off a percentage for taxes into a separate tax account you do not touch. The exact percentage depends on your situation, but a lot of freelancers start with something like 25 to 30% of every payment. It can feel painful at first. You get that $2,000 invoice and immediately move $500 or $600 out of reach. But what you're actually doing is preventing future you from walking into a tax bill with no cash to pay it. Think of it this way. Your business account gets the gross money. The tax account gets its slice right away. What's left is what you're managing with your paycheck system. Rent does not get paid out of money that belongs to the IRS. When quarterly taxes roll around, instead of panic, you log in and see, okay, I have a pile of cash set aside specifically for this. The anxiety drops because the money is already labeled and waiting. Here's where this gets even more powerful. Every time a client pays you, you can run a simple mental script. Let's say a client pays you $1,000. You might decide that $250 goes straight to your tax account. $500 goes toward your regular paycheck, either by filling up the buffer in your business account or by covering the next scheduled transfer to your personal account. The remaining $250 might go into a savings or equipment fund. It doesn't have to be exact down to the penny. The key is having a default pattern so you're not reinventing the wheel with every invoice. Remember that moment when you opened your bank app and felt sick? This is the exact mechanism behind that feeling. When income is irregular and unlabeled, every dollar feels like it has 100 jobs and your brain short circuits. When you start labeling dollars into taxes, baseline pay, and future goals, the noise turns into a plan. Let's talk about that business cushion for a second, because that's your emotional seatbelt. At the beginning, your goal might simply be to have one full month of your baseline expenses sitting in your business account after taxes. If your baseline is $2,500, that means at some point you want to log in and see at least that much sitting there even after you've paid yourself for the current month. Once you hit that, your next goal might be 2 months, then 3. You don't have to rush it. Every extra client, every good month, is an opportunity to thicken that cushion instead of upgrading your lifestyle. Here's a small but powerful rule I like. Your lifestyle should lag your income, not lead it. In other words, wait until your average income has been higher for at least 6 to 12 months before you increase your salary or upgrade your fixed expenses. That way you're not changing your life based on one lucky month or one viral video. You're changing it based on a real trend. Now, let's zoom into the day-to-day. Even with a salary system and a tax account, there's still the question of how you actually spend inside your personal life. This is where a lot of freelancers get trapped in feast or famine behavior. Big month hits, and the celebration spending kicks in. New tech, dinners out, trips, subscriptions, courses. Slow month hits, and suddenly it's instant noodles and stress. The fix here is to separate your daily spending from your mood. One way to do that is to give yourself a realistic weekly spending limit that comes out of your personal account, and then ignore what's happening in the business account. For example, if you know that after rent, utilities, and minimums, you've got $600 a month that can flex, you treat that as about $150 a week. That's groceries, gas, eating out, random stuff. You don't have to track every single category perfectly, but once I hit around this number, I need to cool it until next week. That rhythm keeps even your irregular income life feeling more predictable. Here's where things quietly go wrong again. Your brain loves to attach emotion to individual checks. That $5,000 month might feel like permission to blow your weekly limit 5 weeks in a row. But remember, your salary is already smoothing that out. If you stick with your weekly rhythm, even when the business account looks fat, you're letting the system protect you from yourself. Let me tell you about another guy I know, Alex. He's a graphic designer who started doing online courses on the side. One launch went well and brought in around $10,000 in a single month, more than he'd made in the previous 3 months combined. He upgraded his laptop, bought some furniture, and flew to see friends. None of those are evil decisions by themselves. The problem was he did them before he had a cushion, a tax pile, or a clear baseline salary. When signups slowed down for the next couple months, he ended up putting basic expenses on a credit card. When he finally sat down to untangle it, he realized that if he had taken that same $10,000, moved about $3,000 aside for taxes, used $3,000 to fund a 3-month business cushion, paid himself his usual modest salary, and maybe allowed just one modest upgrade, he'd still be okay months later. The launch would have been a step up, not just a high followed by a crash. That's the difference between using big months to build structure versus using them to prove to yourself that you're finally successful. Here's where this gets important emotionally. When your income is tied to your creativity, your art, your hustle, every slow month feels personal. It feels like a verdict on your talent, your worth, your future. That's heavy. The money system we're building isn't just about spreadsheets. It's about giving your creative brain room to breathe. When your rent is covered for the next 2 or 3 months, you can say no to low-paying work that burns you out. You can take a week to work on a better offer, a better portfolio, a better strategy. You're not constantly creating from a place of fear. Now, there's another angle here that most people never talk about. The terms you set with clients can reduce the chaos of your income as well. It's not purely luck. If every client pays you net 60, meaning 2 months after the work is done, of course your cash flow is going to feel like a mess. Whenever you can, start asking for partial payment up front. Even something like 30 or 50% before you start, and the rest on delivery can stabilize your cash. You can also shorten your terms. A lot of freelancers just write whatever the client suggests, but you're allowed to say, my terms are net 14 or net 21 instead of net 30 or net 60. Not every client will agree, but some will. Every little improvement in how and when money arrives makes your system work better. So what does that actually mean for you, sitting there right now? It means you're not powerless. You can attack this from both sides. You can build a better cash flow system on your end, and you can negotiate better cash flow terms in how you work. Let's pull this together into something you can picture. Imagine 6 months from now. You've been running all your freelance or creator income through that business account. Every time money hits, taxes get peeled off and moved to their own little island where you don't touch them. Twice a month, like clockwork, you move a set amount into your personal account and treat it like a paycheck. Your weekly spending has a rough limit that you actually respect. On good months, the extra in the business account doesn't call your name. It quietly builds a cushion. Month by month, the feeling shifts. Instead of asking, how much did I make this month? With anxiety, you're asking, how many months of cushion do I have now? That's a very different game. If your cushion grows, you can increase your salary a bit later. If your cushion shrinks, you can decide to temporarily lower your salary or tighten your weekly spending before you start missing bills. You're steering the ship instead of just watching waves. Here's where this gets really fun. Once your cushion feels solid and your taxes are handled, those big months become opportunities instead of temptations. That extra $3,000 might go straight into a freedom fund that lets you take a month off to build new product. Maybe it goes into a retirement account. Maybe it funds that one big purchase you've been waiting for, but you buy from a place of strength, not from adrenaline. The same $10,000 that used to vanish in a blur of small decisions becomes the reason you finally get ahead. Remember that sick moment with the bank app? I want you to be able to open your accounts and feel something closer to, okay, it's not perfect, but I know the plan. You won't win every month. Some months will still be rough. Clients will ghost. Platforms will change. Algorithms will be weird. But if your system is sturdy, one bad month doesn't become a full financial crisis. If this is clicking for you, it might help to rewatch this video with your actual numbers in front of you. Write down your baseline monthly cost of living. Look at your last 6 to 12 months of income and figure out your realistic average. Ask, what is a conservative salary I could pay myself from that average? Then think about where you could open that extra account or two to separate business money from personal money and taxes. The magic isn't in having a perfectly optimized setup. The magic is in having something simple that you actually follow. And if you want to go deeper, the next big topic that ties into all of this is building your emergency fund and setting up digital envelopes so every dollar you move into your personal account already has a job. That way you're not just stabilizing your business cash flow, you're also stabilizing the way money moves inside your household. I break that down in another video, because once you pair a freelance paycheck system with a simple envelope-style budget, the chaos drops dramatically. Here's the honest truth. Being a freelancer or creator means your income will probably never be perfectly steady. You chose a path with more upside and more volatility. That doesn't mean your life has to feel like an emergency every 30 days. With a few boring systems, you can still have the creative highs without constantly crashing on the other side. You deserve more than just surviving from gig to gig. You deserve to feel like the CEO of your own career, not the stressed-out employee of your own worst impulses. And the good news is, you don't need to wait for some giant client or some viral moment to start. You can start with the next payment that hits your account and decide, okay, this time I'm going to treat this like a business. Taxes first, stability second, upgrades last. You've already done the hard part, which is figuring out how to make money outside the traditional 9-to-5. Now it's about keeping that money long enough to change your life. I'm Dylan from Dylan Investments. Money talks, and I'll keep translating it for you. Have a good one, my friend.